So Larry Fitzgerald is coming back to the Cardinals for another year. Reports Zach Links of Pro Football Rumors. Retirement can wait, he says. On Wednesday, Larry Fitzgerald agreed to a new one-year deal with the Cardinals, setting the stage for his 17th season. Financial terms of the deal are not yet known, but NFL.com's Ian Rappaport hears that the deal will likely mirror his 2019 pact that will give him roughly $11 million for 2020, which is plus incentives, which is pretty damn good for the old guy. Fitzgerald is the NFL's oldest active wide receiver and was on the fence about playing in 2020. At the same time, he admitted he had more fun this past season than in previous seasons. So he almost retired, but he had more fun. He has an actual quarterback to play with now, which is, and you know what? You could make this argument. I'm not going to make the full. I'm going to make the argument, but I'm not going to definitively make the argument. You could make the argument that Larry Fitzgerald is the best wide receiver of all time. You could put him there next to Jerry Rice and really have an argument. And here's why. Jerry Rice is incredible. He did some things that nobody will ever do. But Jerry Rice also had two of the top 50 greatest quarterbacks of all time. Two of the top 25 probably greatest quarterbacks of all time in Joe Montana and Steve Young. So I'm not saying that's that matters a lot, but look at who Fitzgerald has. Fitzgerald is second in catches and receptions of all time. He has 1,332. Jerry Rice has 1,549, and third is Tony Gonzalez at 1,325. Amazing company to be in. It's amazing company to be in if you're Larry Fitzgerald. Look at who he's had at quarterback. I'm going to go over the Cardinals QBs since 2000. Yeah, list of Cardinals quarterbacks. I mean, jeez, man. Just ridiculous. So, since I believe Fitzgerald was around in 2004 or 5, so he's had Josh McCown, Sean King, John Navarre, Kurt Warner, Josh McCown again, Matt Leinart, Kurt Warner again, Matt Leinart, Kurt Warner again, Matt Leinart. They kept on switching because they couldn't figure it out. Derek Anderson, John Skelton, Max Hall, Kevin Cobb, John Skelton again, Kevin Cobb, Ryan Lindley, Brian Hoyer, an old Carson Palmer, which that was one of his best years, actually. In 2013. And then Drew Stanton, Carson Palmer again, Ryan Lindley, then Carson Palmer again, Carson Palmer. And, I mean, honestly, you could argue Carson Palmer and Kurt Warner are the best guys he's ever got to play with, and he got to play with them way outside their prime. And he had Blaine Gabbert, Drew Stanton, Josh Rosen, and Sam Bradford, and then finally, this year, Kyler Murray. He's been at it for a long time. And to have 1,300-plus receptions, to be the second all-time in receiving catches with the list of quarterbacks I just named, and the good ones are all old and the bad ones are all out of the league. I mean, you really, really got to understand how amazing Larry Fitzgerald has been the last his entire career. Just his entire career, he's been incredible his entire career. This year, he's 36 years old. He's still got 804 receiving yards with a rookie quarterback. I mean, and he didn't even miss a game. He's Iron Man. So he's up there. He's one of the greatest receivers of all time. He's going to go super underrated. People are not going to throw him in there with the Randy Mosses and the Jerry Rices because he doesn't have gaudy stats and he didn't have a great quarterback to throw him those amazing balls like Tom Brady did for Randy Moss. Same with I'd even take Dante Culpepper in his prime over. I think the only quarterback that Fitzgerald even had remotely close to his prime was Carson Palmer. And then, he had 1 year of Warner prime, but besides those 2 or 3 years of decent quarterback play, he's had nothing but garbage for the last 15-plus seasons. So I really don't want to hear that he's not an all-time player. Besides Calvin Johnson, there really hasn't been a guy, and honestly, you could argue Calvin Johnson's not even close to Larry Fitzgerald. There hasn't been a guy who has had such bad quarterback and put up such production. And that's the thing. Calvin Johnson at least had Stafford for half of his career. Fitzgerald hasn't had that type of continuity. He's had to adjust to a new quarterback every other year. And he still got this done. He still is the second all-time in receiving, and he's up there in touchdowns. He's up there in receiving yards. I mean, this guy, you got to give him some motherfucking credit. He's a second in receptions, and let's see, with touchdowns. I'm going to look at that. Unbelievable guy. He's 12th in touchdowns for receiving. He is I mean, he's just ridiculous. This kid is ridiculous. This guy is ridiculous. He's 37, and he's doing all this stuff. He's been a legend. He truly has been a legend. He's 12th in touchdowns. He is he's second in receptions, and let's see, all-time receiving yards. ESPN doesn't want to show me. I know he's top. He's up there. I know he is. Let me double check for you. Second. He's second in receiving yards. So he's second in receptions and receiving yards. And he beat the third place by over 2,000, or he's going to beat him by over 2,000, it looks like, which is Terrell Owens. So you may not, a lot of guys are not going to put Larry Fitzgerald in their discussion for the greatest receivers of all time. But imagine if Larry Fitzgerald had a Hall of Fame quarterback. Imagine if he had even just one. Jerry Rice had two. Imagine if he had one. Larry Fitzgerald had one Hall of Fame quarterback. The sky would be the limit for them. He's second in receiving yards, second in receptions, and 12th in all-time touchdowns with all the quarterbacks I just listed with you. Freaking, Josh McCown, Sean King, Matt Leinart, Derek Anderson, John Skelton, Max Hall, Kevin Cobb. All these bums. I mean, Drew Stanton and Carson Palmer and Kurt Warner are the best players on there, and they weren't even in their prime. None of them were in their prime, I don't think. Carson Palmer is the only one who actually put up, really good numbers, in my opinion. So, it is what it is, man. I just hope that he gets the recognition that he deserves. First ballot Hall of Famer, no question. First ballot. He should be the number one name off the board. Larry Fitzgerald deserves so much credit for all of what he's done for the Cardinals. If you're a Cardinals fan, you better worship this man's the ground he walks on. I mean, not actually worship him, don't really worship him, but you know what I'm saying. You better praise him and respect him because he is absolutely a beast.